Check this out. Check this out. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, y'all, I'm Victor E. I help provide insight to empower, and I wanted to talk about purpose and passivity. When is life happening to us, and when is life happening for us? And what mindset does that ask us to adopt? So if you don't know me, I'm a lot of things. I'm a latchkey kid. I'm a spiritual healer. I'm an artist. I'm in training to become an HVAC technician. But throughout my journey, I've gone through a lot of waves, a lot of trauma, a lot of deep informative experiences. And the way I see it for a long time, in not wanting to be present because of those traumatic experiences, I adopted a mindset of not wanting to be here. That was exacerbated by 2 deployments to Afghanistan. If you don't know, the veteran suicide rate is hanging around 20. It's in average. Some days it's higher than 20. Some days it's lower for veterans that commit suicide. I was one of those veterans that at least attempted to commit suicide because the patterns in thinking, the programming that I was running was one of not wanting to be here, of learned helplessness, of defeatism, of thinking and believing that I didn't matter, that my time on earth didn't matter, that I was, not, to reference Fight Club and maybe some PC culture, I was not a beautiful and unique snowflake just like everyone else. I was part of the same decomposing compost heap, to reference Fight Club, as everyone else. And what I have learned, especially through spirituality and spiritual healing, being a spiritual healer and teacher myself, is that they're both true. Our bodies are living, breathing, and passing away as we live through life. And we are also beautiful and unique people, individuals, beings. What that does to me, or what that says to me, is that being beautiful and unique is something to cherish and respect within myself. But being that I'm also part of that decomposing compost heap, is that I need to check myself. Yeah? There's also, with self-esteem comes also humility. Otherwise, we're arrogant pricks. And so for a lot of my time here so far, I'm 32. I attempted suicide when I was 24. So, 8 years ago, right? If my math is there, check my math. Humility. I was fighting that uniqueness, that divinity, that divine spark within me, because I was so convinced that I was just trash, that I was nothing, that I was a nobody. And so life was pulling me, and I see in my mind sort of like a string around my waist that's pulling me through the waves of emotion and thought and the highs and lows of life. And it's uncomfortable, it's painful, it's chaotic, turbulent. But when I turned inward and started owning my shit, started seeing what beliefs were instilled in me, or that were exemplified, and what conclusions I jumped to out of a mindset of having to survive, of believing that I was low because I had low self-esteem. If you don't know, I think this is something that a lot of people are going through, is just absent parents, emotionally unintelligent parents, abusive parents, Parents who just don't know how to parent because they weren't necessarily parented in the best of ways. They were ill-equipped or ill-prepared to take on that role, and they just did their best. And they had their own shit going on that they didn't learn to process. That's been one of my purpose-driven missions on Earth, is to teach myself, become emotionally intelligent myself, not to hold it against my parents and hope and try to force or control them to become emotionally intelligent. To take that on myself and to do that for myself. And in so doing, I've been able to turn around and help them out, and especially in setting boundaries with them and how I like to be treated. That's how I can show up for myself. And when we show up for ourselves, it may not be obvious at first, but in days, weeks, and months, we can end up outgrowing our parents and being beacons for them so that they don't leave this place carrying forward into the next life the old patterns. We can at least plant the seeds for their growth and evolution. That's kind of what this tattoo is about. I don't know if you can see that right there. Consciousness, our temporary body. This is kind of like the Ace of Spades, a symbol for death. And the Fibonacci sequence is a pattern in life, in trees and flowers, how they grow, an evolution of how we evolve. Nowadays, how I see myself and how I hope something like people can see themselves is a lot more like windsurfing. I've never done it, but this visual, very powerful visual, has come to me several times, where before I was, I had that string around my waist, and the wave, I was just crashing into wave after wave, getting pulled through life. Where now it feels more like windsurfing, that surfboard with like a friggin' sail on it. Learning and developing emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, physical intelligence, mental intelligence. It can be a lot more like riding the waves and having fun. Riding the waves with joy, direction, maybe even some certainty, and a whole hell of a lot of presence. Because if there's one thing that I've noticed with trauma and people who are traumatized, is how much they check out during the day. How, whatever the opposite of present is, how not present they are. Because, if you think about it for a second, going through life in our formative years, if we go through something pretty big, pretty major, pretty painful, that disconnection from safety, that may make us, it certainly made me, want to try to plan out and analyze, just be behind my thoughts so that I can try to anticipate danger or traumatic events. And in my absent-minded planning and analyzing, well, that's when I would make the mistakes. That's when that like pattern of trauma would come up again, because I wasn't being present, so I wasn't being aware, and so life would just kind of be like, bam, like come back down to earth. I think something that I'm seeing a lot in spirituality or in spiritual circles is how much, and this includes me, something I've been guilty of, is how much we try to shift that analyzer in our mind, that critic, that, cop that polices us within ourselves. Try to shift it from like monitoring, at least my behavior, into maybe being reaffirming or kind of positive, cheerful. But it's still taking me out of the present moment. I'm still being checked out, but it seems like a good thing because it's through like a spiritual or loving lens. But a lot of times it can be like kind of condescending. It can be like, oh, forgive them for like they're not there. I remember being that person, earlier on in my journey. It's like, what is it like? Pretentious. It's pretentious. I would kind of check out to sit with my inner child, to console myself, or to like talk myself through something. And again, I'm just checking out of the present moment. I've done a lot of inner child work. 3 or 4 years now, every day, like it's my full-time job. Been doing inner child work and healing and self-development. And after years of doing that, what I've realized is that we can't think our way to enlightenment. We can't think our way into our best life or best self. It's something that requires presence. I wrote down this acronym here, PRDI, P-R-D-I, purpose, resolve, direction, intention. Purpose, resolve, direction, intention. We party. And I think these 4 things are what's guiding me. And I used to be someone who fantasized a lot. They daydreamed my day away because my thoughts that I could create, that I had control over and power over, and the meaning that I could, assign to certain events and certain people. They're doing this because of this. This happened because of this. And I could analyze and get to the root of things. And I was very good at thinking and the detectives do it, deduction. Now, still am very good, and it serves a purpose sometimes, but that's what I would spend the day on. And I've gotten to the point of healing my traumas so much that I'm realizing how little analyzing life requires, and how much better it feels to be grounded, present, and really feel my presence in my own body, occupying fully as possible my own body. So I'm curious, how is it that you relate to your mind? How is it that you relate to your inner monologue? Because we are the ones, not who are thinking, we are the ones who are listening. In truth, we are the energy that the thoughts are composed of, that the emotions are composed of. We are the energy. We are that we are. I'm curious what your experience is like and how it's going for you. And if nothing else, what I've learned in being a healer and studying trauma for the last 10, 12 years now is that we can't think our way out of it. It needs to be spoken. These events and experiences that we've had, these moments of pain and hurt, the shame needs to be spoken for us to take our power back from it. It is what would keep us silent from birth to death. And the longer we hold it in, the more it weighs us down. So if you'd like to speak your pain, get it off your chest with someone who's experienced in listening and creating a safe space for healing, along with some healing techniques, book an appointment. IamVictorE.com. IamVictorE.com/book an appointment. I love you. I hope you're having an awesome day. Peace.